Okay, so we're at the show that everyone's waiting for. This is the 1988 Blob remake discussion on why the fucking movie is so goddamn underrated. Okay, we also have Matt Roller, aka Rambo Raff. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, and very humbled that I would get a chance to be asked questions about, not let alone ask questions about a film I love. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, I want to start off with you, Rambo Raff, Mr. Matt Roller. Simple, basic question. Why the hell aren't more people talking about this movie today?
I don't know if it's because the film bombed when it came out, but then at the same time you have John Carpenter's Thing, which bombed. Even films like Monster Squad and Night of the Creeps bombed, but they have even more of a life than this film has. I don't know if it's because the company or even the people behind the film, they don't really talk about the film much. I mean, you don't see Chuck Russell or Frank Darabont or the actors really talk about the film much. I don't know if it's people just not asking them questions. Like Frank Darabont, this is a guy who's done Shawshank Redemption, The Green Mile. Does anyone really ask him about the Blob? I mean, people probably ask him more about Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 than the Blob. And I love Elm Street 3. And even Kevin Dillon and Shawnee Smith, you know, they've gone to do Entourage and the Saw films. And once again, if they get interviewed, I don't think a lot of people even asked about the Blob, which is a shame. So I think lack of word of mouth, maybe. Maybe the fact that the film hasn't gotten a good DVD Blu-ray release. I mean, it has a DVD that I have, and it's bare bones. But yet, the Monster Squad, Night of the Creeps, The Fly, The Thing, they all have special editions. Some of them on Blu-ray. But at least special edition DVDs. And they get re-released. And they get the public who might not have heard about these films, they hear about these films, or they walk in their video stores, they walk in Best Buy, they're flipping through online, and they're like, what's this film? And they get newer people get reintroduced to it. So I don't think you have a lot of newer people being introduced to this film.
Clearly somebody who's seen the movie a lot, like myself. What keeps you coming back to the movie time and time again?
Honestly, it's because I wish films like this were made nowadays. I know that sounds stupid, and granted, it's all based on opinion. I mean, every film has a hater and every film has a fan. And every generation has their own point of view on something. Me happens to be stuck in the 80s and 90s. But I don't see many films like The Blob made today. I really don't. Even monster movies, I don't feel they're even in the same category as this film. Because I can look at this film, I can look at The Great Script, where you have either them making fun of the slasher films where the kids sneak in and they see the slasher movie, which sadly enough that's better than, you know, some of the films we get today, just that film within a film.
Isn't it awfully late to be trimming the hedges? Maybe this guy's a peeping Tom or something.
Let's give him something to peep at.
Wait a minute. Hockey season ended months ago.
Or the fact that you think the lead guy is going to be the character played by Donovan Leitch. You think he's going to be the lead character, and then it pulls a switch, and it's really Kevin Dillon.
You said kill?
Yes, sir.
You sit tight, I'll be right down. Now, who else is involved?
I'm with Meg Penny, and Brian Flagg was here earlier.
Flagg? Where is he now?
Or, okay, they're not going to kill kids, and then they do, and you go, oh, wow. So I think it's a script that's smarter than people give it credit for. I think you have very likable characters in a blue-collar type of way. And that's another thing. You don't see a lot of blue-collar type of movies anymore where it's just regular people. Either they're from the CW, or at my time it was the WB. The Victoria's Secret models, or they're willing to take their shirt off every 5 seconds like Twilight, or... And granted, if anyone's fans of those, that's fine, but it's just... You know, I like people who look normal, or people who seem like people you would want to hang out with, or people that are just, typical, normal, everyday people stuck in an extraordinary situation.
Does he have Blue Cross? I don't know. Medical insurance of any kind?
I don't believe this shit. Look, we don't even know who the guy is.
It's fun. It's entertaining. And that's another thing. I don't think a lot of films, especially horror films, are fun anymore or entertaining anymore. And granted, it's, different strokes for different folks. But even monster films, either their Sci-Fi Channel, which are just, in my opinion, bullshit with bad CGI and like budgets in the maybe 50s or $100, or they have just no care to them, or they're just, I know a lot of people like this film, but the Thing prequel to me is sort of the opposite of this film. Granted, it's not supposed to be a fun movie, but I see actors that I don't give a shit about. I see a script that doesn't develop as characters. I see dialogue that's just forgettable. I see a monster that's just some crappy CGI. And that's the kind of monster films you get today. And it's sad, because I'm a big fan of monster movies. I love monster movies. I love horror films. This is the kind of film that I saw when I was a kid, and it got me into horror films, seeing stuff like this, and Leviathan, and all sorts of stuff. I don't see that nowadays. Maybe I'm one of the few, and I'm one of the unproud, but I keep coming back to this film because it's just insanely entertaining and rewatchable. It always puts a smile to my face. And I'm like, this is the kind of, when I think of a monster movie, this is the kind I want.
Okay, and yeah, the same question to Matt. Do you think part of the reason this movie is so underrated is modern audiences can't really enjoy the practical effects and they're more used to CGI or anything, or do you think it's just slept and, just falling in the cracks?
It's weird. It's going to sound really stupid. Part of me almost hopes it is just the fact that it fell through the cracks. And believe me, I'm not happy that it fell through the cracks. I think there's dozens of films that fell through the cracks that are still really good, that when you talk to some people, they say, hey, that's really good. I'm looking at one film right now, for instance, this film right here, Jacob's Ladder. Not many people talk about that film nowadays, but without that film, you probably would not get Silent Hill, at least exactly how it is today, because even the makers of Silent Hill say that film is a big inspiration. But that's a great, fantastic movie that sort of fell through the cracks. And not many people talk about that film today. Now, and the reason I say that I kind of hope it's that, because the other aspect, the fact that modern audiences can't deal with practical effects.
Frank, come on!
That they're so used to CGI. It's just a bummer, man. It's just... Granted, it's all due to personal opinion and personal thoughts and feelings and what you like or dislike. And it's not like I hate every single thing with CGI. I mean, I think Jurassic Park or other films can utilize that very well. But then it just gets so overused and overabundance of it to the point of just you're gagging it through your nose, your ears, and your ass with CGI. That's just, you're suffocating from it. And it's like you rarely get to see practical effects utilized anymore. Even the Thing prequel, which I brought up, or as I call the Thing prequel, because I hated it so much, they had practical effects, but then they wash it over with CGI because, quote, it didn't have the right movement. And in fact, weirdly enough, now that I think about that, I worked at a video store. And there was a guy who I was working with who was, younger than me. And we were talking about The Thing because The Thing prequel came out. He's like, I saw that new one. I really liked it. Really good special effects. And I said, what do you think of the old one? The old one, man. Those effects in the old one are cheesy. I went, John Carpenter's film? It's like, yeah, those effects in the 80s one is so cheesy. And I literally was like, I was dumbfounded. I was literally dumbfounded. I'm like, I don't understand it. I don't know if people are used to, playing video games and are used to CGI so much that if they see something else that is just doesn't appeal to them, or I don't know. Maybe it's just their taste. Not saying they have wrong or bad taste. It's just like we agree to disagree, but I would hope that, for example, I could see films with CGI, and if it's used right and used well, I'll like it. I would also think that younger audiences can see films with great practical effects like John Carpenter's The Thing or like The Blob, that when it's utilized well, that it's really good. It's really great. And the fact that people are going to chastise this film or not give it a chance or throw it away just because it doesn't have CGI effects is depressing as shit. Which goes back to that question you were saying, why do I keep revisiting this film? Because they don't make films like this that much anymore.
Now, Matt, would you call this a typical example of an 80s movie?
Yeah, it's a typical 80s movie. I would say that. It's a typical 80s movie. I mean, the songs like Alien, the band Alien saying, "It's a brave new love." Which I love to death at the end credits. It goes without never been done. Like, that's 80s song, and I love that. Kevin Dillon's mullet, love it. Total 80s.
My bike's broken down in Elkins Grove. I was thinking, maybe I could borrow your ratchet set.
Practical special effects, which they were a big usage of the 80s.
What is this?
That thing on his hand.
It was bloody, it was gory, blue-collar characters, which you saw a lot in 80s type of films, or even early 90s type of films. Someone's saying that if it's a typical 80s film, yeah, but I wouldn't say that's a bad thing. I think it's a thing that maybe we need more of today, in my opinion. The clothing and the style and maybe the music is people call 80s, but if this is typical 80s, then maybe that's why I love it so much. But yeah, I could see why people would say that. I would say it is.
Now, this is the obvious big question when it comes to The Blob. I'm going to start it with Matt again. Of course, you have the inevitable comparisons to The Fly and The Thing. The Blob, The Fly, and The Thing, all 50s movies, a little on the cheesy side, but still really good at heart, that all were remade in the 80s, much more gory, and now sort of acclaimed. Where do you think The Blob fits into this whole series? Yeah, we'll throw it to you first, Matt.
Well, The Fly and The Thing, you can definitely say, The Fly and The Thing are more serious, while The Blob is more fun. And for me personally, John Carpenter's The Thing and The Blob are two of my favorite horror films of all time. And I put them equal levels, but for different reasons. John Carpenter's The Thing is very serious, very about paranoia and claustrophobic when they're all stuck in that one station together. And it's very, scary and paranoia, and, all the subtext of, you had a new thing called AIDS coming out at that time. You had the thing with the blood test and Do I Trust You? But then The Blob, wouldn't call it, definitely not as serious as those films, but it's still a fun, rock and roll, fast-paced, entertaining, just exciting movie. So you can see him like on here for me. And I still really like David Cronenberg's The Fly. But it's just, if I want something that's very serious, dramatic, deadly, like scary, suspenseful, I'll watch The Thing. But if I want a fun ride, when I got my popcorn, I got my soda, and just rock and roll, let's have fun, I'm going to put in The Blob. There's nothing wrong with both of them. I mean, I think those three remakes are three of the best remakes out there. Because I think in the 80s, or even like films like Scarface, which was a remake, people took care into those remakes because people actually wanted to do it. You actually understood why they remade them. You actually understood why these films got remade. Like, from the 50s to the 80s are two completely different worlds. I can't say the same for like the 80s to today. I don't think it's completely that different. Every horror film doesn't need to be as intense as can be. There is a certain thing called a fun horror movie as well. I think The Blob fits in that category. So I think it's up there with The Thing and The Fly.
And Matt, you're a big fan of Kevin Dillon's performance?
I've always been a fan of Kevin Dillon as an actor, even before, Entourage. Like he did a film called Remote Control, which I liked him in. Platoon, I thought he was really good in. And I've always been a fan of Kevin Dillon. I always thought he was an underrated actor, but I would say this is my favorite role of his, because I really liked his character of Brian Flagg, because he didn't have to force to be tough, you just bought him as tough. He didn't have to force to be funny, just when he said lines like, spearmint fucked up.
I'll tell you how. That meteor is man-made. It's some kind of a germ warfare test. They fucked up. Don't try it.
Or, I think you pissed it off.
I think you pissed it off.
He sold those lines well, and you bought it, hook, line, and sinker. And his character, I think there's more to it than maybe people give it credit to. For instance, you think he's just this guy he's got a jacket, he's got his mullet, which I love the mullet, because you can pull it off in the 80s. You got Rambo, you got Jab Burton and Big Trouble in Little China, you got Kevin Dillon, the Blob. Back then you can pull a mullet off. I wish I had a mullet instead of a bald head. But Kevin Dillon, like his character, you think he's just okay, he only thinks of himself, but then you have the scene where he brings this homeless man who's been hurt, and he tells the guy, you're going to be okay, they're going to take care of you, dude.
Hey, take it easy, old dude. These guys gonna fix you right up.
And you even see Shawnee Smith look at him, and it's like, okay, we see what she sees. And you didn't need to explain it in big old monologues. You go, okay, this guy's got a good heart to him. There's something more to him than you think.
Flag, congratulations.
For what?
Well, I hear you have a birthday coming up. No more Juvie Hall, right?
Yeah, right.
Now you mess up now, and you're in the majors. I'll see you around, Flag.
You get the idea that his dad probably left a long time ago, that his mom was never around, or his mom's never around now, so he had to take care of himself. Like that scene where they're at the back of the truck, it's like no one else wanted the job.
Then go. Take care of yourself. It's the only thing you're really good at, isn't it?
No one else ever volunteered for the job.
But then he becomes a badass, he has that motorcycle, goes over, gives him the middle finger. He saves Shawnee Smith, he helps the town out, he is just a very likable, he's got a good heart to him, but he's also badass. Yeah, I really love Kevin Dillon. He's one of the reasons why I really love the film. One of the many reasons. I think he's a very likable character.
And Shawnee Smith, Matt, who would end up becoming a lot more famous with Saw. What were your thoughts on her?
I think Shawnee Smith is my kind of woman. I'd never be lucky enough to have a woman like that. But Shawnee Smith, okay, you think she's just the typical cheerleader. She's a bubble-headed, and she's this and that. She's just a victim. Total opposite. She's strong, she's smart, she kicks ass, she has an Ellen Ripley vibe to her. Because, for instance, you have the scene where she sees her boyfriend being pulled by the Blob. She could run away, faint. No, she goes towards him and tries to help him out. There's an instance where she goes to Kevin Dillon, and instead of, Kevin Dillon doesn't believe her, and she could cry, and so, no, she's like, no, you're full of shit, Flag. So, okay, she's tough.
Do you mind if I ask you a personal question? I know you're the homecoming queen type and all, but,
Are you strung out or something or what?
You're just the same.
What are you talking about?
You act like you're different. You put on this big show. But you're just like everybody else in this town. You're full of shit, Flag!
She's not going to take guff from anyone. But she's also likable, she's brave, she goes in that movie theater to save her brother even though all this shit's going on. She pushes her brother through and jumps back into the... when she's in the sewer.
Run, Kevin! Go to town hall! No, but no, do it now!
She's a survivor. She's not going to give up. She's not going, oh, I'm going to lay down and die. She's not a victim. She's a survivor, which is very likable. And then, of course, that Ellen Ripley mode, she gets the gun. Come on, you do better than that.
Come on! You can do better than that!
I'm like, all right, it's my kind of woman.
Okay, Matt, I want to ask you a bit more of a specific question. The character named Flag, and we got the Darabont script, and Darabont's clearly obsessed with Stephen King. Flag is, of course, a recurring character in all of Stephen King's work. You could equate with the devil, you understand, etc., etc., Eyes of the Dragon. Do you think when Darabont was writing the script, naming the character Flag had something to do with his Stephen King love? Was he some way saying that maybe the Kevin Dillon character was Randall Flag? I don't know if you're too familiar with Stephen King, Matt. Maybe you could fill us in with your thoughts on that.
To be honest, I think for me it was just... Obviously, Frank Darabont's a big fan of Stephen King with directing The Green Mile, The Shawshank Redemption, The Mist. I think it was just like, okay, here's a film, here's a rebellious character. So, okay, he's Brian, what's the last name we could give him? Let's give him last name of Flag. Of course, Randall Flag, like you said, from stuff like The Stand and stuff like that. I think it was just a nod to Stephen King novels, naming the character. Although that'd be a good question for Frank Darabont if anyone ever interviewed the guy to ask him about.
I want to throw this one to Matt. Matt, what should they do with this franchise now? Are we in need of a remake, maybe by someone like Rob Zombie, who is rumored to be doing it? Or do we need that sequel with the Preacher doing all that fun stuff and living his life? What should they do with the Blob franchise, or should we just leave it alone?
I would not want a remake. I really wouldn't. I just really am not a fan of Rob Zombie's Halloween. It's just not a fan of Michael Myers being white trash. I mean, I'm white trash. I don't even see Michael Myers being white trash. You know, what's he going to do? Make the Blob white trash? And make the Blob curse and say, fuck, like every 5 minutes? Or hell, every 5 seconds. Like the Blob talks and now he cusses shit. And he's white trash because the Blob for some reason has a mullet or something. Or has like a beard. I know if people are out there fans of Rob Zombie's Halloween, that's fine. But that just really... And especially H2 with like Michael Myers being a 7-foot-tall bum, seeing his dead mom on a white horse, and you're wondering, where the hell's Roy Rogers? He's looking for Trigger. It's right there. And I'm like, Michael Myers is looking for his mom? Are you sure you didn't mess this up with Jason Voorhees and his dead mom? But that's just my opinion. But a remake, I don't really see what you could do with a remake. It would just be CGI Blob. And I don't think, what helps the Blob... The 80s one worked, I think, is the writing, the characters, and again, you don't see a lot of blue-collar type of folks, and to me, I have a feeling if they did a remake, and let's face it, I'm not hating on every remake. I like Dawn of the Dead remake, I like the Hills of Ice remake, but a lot of times nowadays they suck. Total Recall, Fright Night, The Fog, The Hitcher, I really do think it's going to be Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, in my opinion. I think it'd be in that realm. I know there was one time when they were going to do it, it was going to be like, instead of Blob, it's B-L-O-B, like biological life form, organic bullshit, whatever it was. I'm like, really? Yeah, I know it's a double standard, but I don't care. I don't think you need to remake it. Sequel, only if you got everyone involved with the original film. If you got Frank Darabont, Chuck Russell, Kevin Dillon, and Shawnee Smith back, and you did practical effects, then I would like to see a sequel. But that wouldn't happen. It would be one of those direct-to-DVD sequels that has barely a budget, We gotta do it CGI. It'll be half-ass shot, or it'll be shaky cam where you're going all over, half-ass editing type of stuff. And I really don't think I need to see that kind of stuff. I really don't. There's not many times you see a sequel done right, especially nowadays, of a film that came back in the 80s and they make a sequel in today's age. You don't see that done the right way a lot. A lot of times it's like, what the hell were they smoking when they did that? But honestly, I think the way it should go is, honestly, I just want to see a special edition of this, whether it be on Blu-ray or whatever. I'd be fine with that. A Blu-ray that's remastered with picture and sound with special features. Interviews with Kevin Dillon, Shawnee Smith, Frank Darabont, Chuck Russell. You know, maybe a making of the film, whether it be 15, 20, 25 minutes on the making of the film. Maybe a commentary with the writer and director, or a commentary with the cast, Shawnee Smith and Kevin Dillon. Maybe someone going back to look at the... Hell, even a fan commentary. I would do that for free. My friends would do that for free. Hell, we did it for free. We did a fan commentary for free, just for shits and giggles, because we wanted to. That's how much we love the film. But I would like to see a special edition of this, a Blu-ray. You know, someone going back to the location, see how they are today. So I would rather see, I just want to see a special edition of this. I think, like Shout Factory, or the part of them called Scream Factory, the stuff they did on They Live, Halloween 2, Halloween 3, they're going to do on The Nest and Prison. They're going to make these films have special editions on DVD and Blu-ray. I think it would be great for them to do it. But anyway, I mean, that's my thoughts. I would rather see just a special edition of it.
I want to thank everyone. We're getting to the bottom of the Blob. Bottom line, go fucking see this movie, folks. If you haven't fucking seen it, you're doing yourself a great injustice. Maybe it's not quite on the level as the flying thing, but it's pretty goddamn close. And the effects, it's out of this world. Tony Gardner, a team of over 30, they just fucking own it. It's plain and simple. They even have fucking Blob Fest every year down the state. You may want to fucking go to that. It's super fucking cool. Just get down with this shit. Matt, any last words?
But my last words on the Blob really is, I love this film to death. I love the characters of Kevin Dillon and Shawnee Smith. I even like the little-known characters like Candy Clark, who's a waitress, and even the sheriff, who's the same cop who you saw in the original The Hitcher, who, he's not a jerk. He actually believes Kevin Dillon. Oh my God, it's a cop who's actually smart.
Turn him loose.
Herb, we got eyewitnesses placing him at the scene of the crime.
No motive, no evidence. Didn't get a drop of blood on him. Hell, Flag's a punk, but he's no killer.
I think it's a mistake.
Well, your objection is duly noted. Now turn him loose. We got work to do.
It's like, oh my God, you actually have a cop who's not dumb, who is actually smarter than you think, and makes you like the person more. And then the other guy, he's the guy in RoboCop who got melting. You got great death scenes, like in the movie theater when Shawnee Smith finds the girl, and I'm not sure if it's a girl or a guy, but puts it up and like half their face falls up. Or Candy Clark in the phone booth, and like she gets like obliterated, just. So it's like memorable death scenes, fantastic special effects, great acting, a script that I think is funny and definitely smarter than people give it credit for a number of reasons. Like again, like in the movie theater, they have the whole thing on the slasher films, the film within a film. Great lines of dialogue, badass moments, fast-paced, great score, wonderful song by Alien called Brave New Love. I don't find anything wrong with it. I think this is a great monster movie. I think it's a fantastic film, and I do say that with a straight face. It's great entertainment, and I think it should be seen more by people. It should be up there along with The Thing, The Fly, and all sorts of films. I hope one day it gets the justice it deserves. I hope one day someone sees how great a film this is like I do and gives it the special edition it deserves. That'll probably never happen, but I want to say thank you for having me on here, and I love this film to death.
Okay, once again, thank you. Go to Blob Fest, watch the Blob remake, get all Blob, dress as the Blob for Halloween. It's fucking Blob. Thanks. Let's go, Freaky fucking Friday.